All right, folks. Let's get this show on the road. Get the real party started. Here we go.
Five, four, three, two, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What is going on? You know what though? We gotta keep a little bit of that rhythm going as we kick into this show, man. We'll turn it down a little bit. We'll get there. We're gonna keep it rolling a little bit. Turn it up a little notch. Let's turn it up another notch. We're gonna have a little fun tonight, folks. Welcome in. We'll turn it down a little bit. No, I'm being a little too loud. Welcome in, folks, to another edition of the one, the only Two Growls, One More podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. And if you are an Atlanta Falcons fan, oh boy, what a show, what a night. We are pumped up to be here. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope all the Carolina Panthers fans around the world that are tuned in, that are going to watch this, are also doing well, man. We'll turn that off for now. What a fantastic performance by the Carolina Panthers. Hands down, I can tell you, honestly, hand on the Bible, did not see that coming. And I find it hard to believe if there is a group of people that saw that performance. Now, there's folks out there that were probably anticipating, hey, I think the Panthers are going to make the turn. Panthers are going to play a little bit better. We thought maybe that would be the case. And here we are, folks. 30-0, Carolina Panthers dominating the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds. And here's where I sit. You guys know this. I don't engage when it comes to crap talk, whatever you want to call it. I keep it PG on here, unless we're going on a rant. Some of you have gotten my rants, my 1% rant or F-bombs that we drop as we go through this. Let me take these out because I can barely hear myself also when we have those shoved up in my ear. I don't like to engage with folks when it comes to the crap talk with the other fan bases. You know what? There's people that do it. Y'all go for it. You love it. So I'm not here for that. But my gosh, I saw some of it from afar. And it feels good, man. It feels good being a Panthers fan. And it's a 24-hour rule. I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers right now. They've got a motto, 24 hours, soak it in. Guess what, folks? 24 hours for you, for me, for us. Let us have this moment. That's it. Because guess what? You know what? We are going to turn our attention to, like folks have said, maybe by Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll go back and look, and maybe even tonight starting to talk about some of the things that didn't go as well. But I posted this earlier. When you look at the performance that we saw today, 30-0, 30 points to a goose egg. Not a lot that you can be upset about as a Carolina Panthers fan, especially when you think about the defensive side of the ball and what this team did. What a performance, man. It's much easier coming on here celebrating a victory for this team. It's rare. And it's very rare. So what, 7 times now? This is number 8. 8 episodes. I've recorded 300 plus episodes. 8 of them, now they're not all during the season, of course, they're all throughout the year, but it doesn't matter. In season, only 8 times I've been able to come on here and celebrate a Carolina Panthers victory. And it feels good tonight, man. It really does. Complete and total shutout. We're going to get into the game. We're going to break it down like we always do. It was one of those where it just felt like it was going to go the Panthers' way. Now, there were moments, like, don't get me wrong, when you're only up by 10, kind of like, oh gosh, okay, can the Panthers maintain? Can they hold on? Is this break going to go in favor of the Falcons? Are they going to break with one off with Bijan Robinson? No. Panthers held their own today, and they looked like a really good football team. Now, how does that translate into next week? I can't tell you. I would love to put 2 wins back to back. That's asking a lot. Yeah, I know. For the state of where we are as a fan base right now, not for the team, but for the state of the fan base, wanting back to back wins. Some of the things that I have talked about getting to 500, like beyond week 1, getting this team to 500 and getting this team to 500 when meaningful football games are around. And you can't have that. You can't have the November, December push playing in meaningful football games if you're not there now. Like, you can't dig your hole. And thank goodness the Carolina Panthers are not sitting at 0-3, not the worst team in football. And honestly, you now look at the NFC South, Tampa Bay still managed to find Tampa Bay ways to win. That's what they do. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a good football team. We know that. We've known it. I don't know how many people saw the comments by Baker Mayfield. Totally different tangent. We're not going to really dive in that today, but I'd tell you to go look up what Baker Mayfield said about Steve Wilks and kind of the back and forth. And someone on Panthers Universe, I'll just call it Panthers Verse, pointed out the fact that Steve Wilks had positive comments to say about Baker Mayfield this week. Dude just carries a chip on his shoulder. It is what it is. But for the time being, you now have the Carolina Panthers with a big win within the division. And so we'll see where this goes. Like, you're going to be looking up. Saints clearly falling apart. I mean, I don't think we anticipated them. Sorry, Saints fans, because I know there's a few folks that tune in. You're probably not tuning in right now. But sorry to the Saints fans out there. You know, it looks as bad as it is, and I don't think it's going to get any better for them. But you now look at Atlanta, and I won't say that I was scared of the Atlanta Falcons, because that's not, really what I would say. But I was a little worried with all this hype around the pass rush, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., like these guys coming into this game. There was a lot of talk about that. There were big-time concerns, and we're going to get into one of the biggest storylines I think the Carolina Panthers have themselves in right now, and it's huge. We're going to get into it in just a second. But before we do that, we got to take a second, because there's going to be a lot of talk about the defense. Defense played fantastic. But tip our hats, of course, to none other than Cade Mays and Chandler Zavala on the right side of that offensive line. Again, no, not perfect days, but they got the job done. They did what they had to do, and here we are. And I say this because I feel like people forget Cade Mays hasn't always been here. The Carolina Panthers decided to move on from Cade Mays last year. He was on the New York Giants practice squad when all these injuries unfolded. Carolina Panthers bring him back last year, sign him. Of course, things work out. He played his part. To me, I thought he should have been the starter coming into this. I mean, if you followed me from the beginning of the summer, really before the summer, in the spring, I thought, just based on the fact of what we saw with Cade Mays at the end, the injury history that was there with Austin Corbett, that this is where the Carolina Panthers should go with Cade Mays. But now we get to see it, and it's a big year for him. It's a chance to get a bigger contract long-term, to be the true answer. I mean, I said it last week, like, regardless of how Cade Mays plays or played, it felt like Austin Corbett was done. I know how much the locker room likes him, and Dave Canales talks about him and all that, but it just feels like this is it as far as his time here in Carolina. If you are going to move on from Shaq Thompson because of the injury concerns, how in the world are you going to look Austin Corbett and this team in the face and say, yeah, we're going to keep him, though? So seems to be a push on, but we're not here to harp too much on that. Just hats off to this team, man. A lot of guys stepping up. It wasn't a sexy performance by the offense on paper, but it was enough. Carolina Panthers had an efficient day. They did what they were supposed to do. The defense did what they were supposed to do. And the special teams unit, regardless of the ETN fumble, and I mean, you guys know, he's not the greatest back there, and that's why you have David Moore. David Moore, reliable, can catch. If anything else, that's where his value is. And I was going to go down 2 talk tracks here as we talk about offense. I know you guys know where we're going. We're going to get into the comments as we always do as well, folks. So if you are tuned in, number one, like the video. If you're here tuning in, go over to YouTube, like it. Be sure that you are subscribed, continuing to climb, and put out what we want. We want this to be one of the best podcasts that you listen to. And, just please tune into the show and do those things for me. It makes it easy. I don't ask for a lot. I really don't. I don't ask for your chats, your monies, or any of those things. Just tune in, watch, help our numbers grow. Just past 1.2 million total views on the channel. Ridiculous. Anyways, let's get back on track. I will get into the comments. Like I said, appreciate you guys tuning in. No idea how long we're going to be here. I don't want to stay up too late tonight because it's a victory and we got a long week and I got a lot of stuff to unpack. So we got to turn our attention to the New England Patriots. Getting into the flow, man. Season it's here in the thick of things. I'm going to get into what I want to talk about, and you guys already know, I think, if you're a mind reader, where this talk track is going. But before we do that, let's talk about Bryce Young for a second. Number one, this is his first win as a starting quarterback in the month of September. I know it's a young career. First win in the month of September as a starting quarterback. Wow. Okay, we'll take it. We want some early wins. You actually go back because you think last year he was not the starter when they won against the Las Vegas Raiders. So that scratches that one out of the equation. And then he takes over in week 9 against the New Orleans Saints, which at that point, like into November, don't have the calendar in front of me, but early November, going to take a pretty big assumption there. You think back, though, his rookie season, first win came against the Houston Texans week 8, coming off the bye, because it was 6, 7, 8, week 8. That was at the end of October. So this is the earliest win that he has had as a starting quarterback. I'll take it, man. I will take it. There's some stats we're going to get into as far as his performance. I tweeted some of them out through NFL Pro, but we are going to pull that up. Like I said, look at the box score. Really good day, though. All right, it's time to get into the stuff that we really have to talk about that you guys know. And it's not to put a damper on this thing. First of all, and I keep prolonging this just because it's a pretty hot topic and I know it's going to be, so I'm just waiting to get to it in a way. First of all, I hope you guys tune into the video that I put together this week about Dave Canales and the Carolina Panthers being 0-2. Because coming off of this start to the season, the number of folks that talked about him being fired, him not being the right guy, his way not working, you being mad about his positivity, I hope you tuned in. And I hope if you didn't, go back and watch that, because I had a firm belief, and I still do, even no matter what the results are today, that the Carolina Panthers and Dave Canales are going to be okay. I'm so tired. Think of it this way. If you go back and look, this is how our society is. And I understand your frustration as a Panthers fan, so don't get me I'm not going to tell you how to think. Feel what you feel, man. That's the point of this. You guys feel how you feel. I'll give my opinions. I want you to think back to college football and college football season and how big of a joke this whole thing is. When you think about perspective and time and where things sit, who was the favorite quarterback? And I just went on to ESPN's, I don't know if it was their PR, their analytics, whoever, whatever, it was just college football Twitter page. A month ago, Cade Klubnik was Herbie's player of the year, preseason player of the year. Cade Klubnik, Clemson. Clemson, and this is not a rant, sorry to the Clemson Tigers fans, because North Carolina football is just as bad, if not worse. And it is worse. Clemson will beat UNC by about 30, and then you'll feel a little bit better, but that's not what this episode's about. We do talk college football on the side, but not for this episode. But I want you to think about the state of where that dynamic shifts. So a month ago, it's Cade Klubnik. He's going to be the best. This. Clemson's this. You get a month into it, and now all the perspective has changed. Now Lenore Sellers is projected to be the number 1 quarterback. Think about Arch Manning. All these storylines, man, we just tried to force the things in without really letting these things unfold. And so for me, with Dave Canales, That's the way I viewed it. It's like you got to let this thing simmer. You got to let it play out a little bit. He was brought in for a reason, and he wasn't given a 3-year contract or a 2-year contract. He was given a 6-year contract, and folks forget it. It's like you're going to have to let this thing play out for a little bit. All right, enough of playing around the topic that we want to talk about. Let's get into it. Hands down, it is none other than the fact that, and it's out of his control, Xavier Legette was not out there today, and that was the performance that we saw. I know it's not his fault. You have the hamstring injury that comes up during the week. I just wonder, and he was on the injury report, so it's not, and he was limited. So it's not like this is a total made up thing. And I'm not one of those that believes into stupid conspiracies when it comes to these things. There's folks out there that want to do it. And, oh, he's got this. And now because he has the hamstring, Dave Canales is going to bench him because he's going to prove a lesson. And that, like, I don't get into that level of conspiracy. And if you want to believe it, you can think whatever you want. But the fact of the matter is he did not play, and the offense looked better. It looked efficient. And there's a guy by the name of none other than Bryson Tremaine, who we have been talking about throughout camp, that has produced at every opportunity and angle that he gets. And it's not just producing on offense, it's producing on special teams. So to me, this is a major storyline for the Carolina Panthers. Their backs, it's not their backs, but Xavier Legette's back is against the wall at this point. I have defended him. I will defend him. And I'm not here to say, similar, I'm going to take my own medicine, and I'm not going to buy into he's done. I'm not going to buy into and say that he's a bust. Things are not going to pan out. But what I am going to do is analyze what's in front of me. And if I'm the Carolina Panthers and I look, number one, you do, like, by all means, you want him to hit. You want him to pop, is all this stuff that I've seen popping up this week in regards to XL. Maybe this was beneficial to not be in the game, to sit on the side, to watch it unfold. But it's not a good position to be in right now, at least in my opinion, because you also just have to sit back and think, like, what's going on here, man? Like, I don't know. Not being out there, of course, like I said, injury-wise, I understand it. But I even go back to high school football, man. This stuff is very basic. I know these guys are paid millions of dollars, but when our son, we went into high school football this year, we sat down, we listened to the coach talk, and he said, an opportunity is going to come. And he's like, whatever happens out in front of it, if you're not out there playing, whether it's your doing or not, whether you get injured, whatever happens for you to not be on the field during the play, you want to take a break, you want to go sit out, whatever it is, someone's going to step up into that role and they're going to take advantage of that. And that's what we're seeing here. That is my opinion. Not to mention, folks, there is someone by the name of Jalen Coker lurking in the shadows, just waiting. And we have seen a lot out of this team. I don't know where this goes. So again, don't read into this, me making this up that he's gone, that he's not going to pan out. But it's a very valid discussion that I think we're going to have. And there's work. It's you're given the blueprint on this side of, hey, this is what this guy can give you in Bryson Tremaine. This is what you're going to get out of his snaps. This is how he's going to help you. Okay, so you see him continue to produce. Do you want to take him out? Do you want to keep trying to force in? And I get, because you drafted him, because you have the investment in him with all that. But at some point, you got to make some football decisions. And I know that's one of the things that Carolina Panthers fans have been asking for. And I'm here to listen and hear you, because folks have said, you bench Bryce Young after 2 games. Why couldn't you do it to XL? And then this kind of happens unintentionally or not. I'm not going to buy into any of that, but I'll just leave it all out there for you. So that's the state of the Carolina Panthers offense right now. A lot of questions. We'll not get Coker back this week, but we're nearing that 4-week mark. Hopefully we'll get him designated to return. We'll open up that practice window and get him back, because I do think he will help elevate this offense. You look at what T-Mac is able to do. Hopefully he's going to figure out how to come down with one of these long passes and catch it with two hands. I mean, it's tough. Really good coverage on him. I felt like the one where T-Mac was down the field and tries to one-hand it, that maybe a little bit of PI, and he kind of gets a makeup call, in my opinion, on the very next play. But you think about Hunter Renfrow, he's not Adam Thielen, and he's not Jalen Coker, but he's definitely not Adam Thielen. And we're seeing it unfold that way in the timing, and maybe they're going to get in sync eventually, but at least not right now. We do know Jalen Coker and Bryce Young have that connection going for them. So there's going to be a lot of dynamics for the Carolina Panthers to figure out as we get into this. But how about hats off to the defensive side of the football, man? I kid you not. And I'll get in, like we said, we'll check in comments here in just a little bit. What a performance. And we saw a variety of looks. Trayvon Merrick being moved down, Lathan Ransom on the field, and Nick Scott all at the same time, almost using Merrick as a linebacker. The play by Shaw Smith-Wade, the interception, I don't know what Michael Penix was doing, but whatever. The other interception by Mike Jackson, the receiver fell down, but it doesn't matter. The ball was like right in his lap. I don't know how he does not score on that play. And then I saw him in the post-game scrum talking about, we didn't want to give him the ball back because they were going up tempo, which that I just laugh at that. That's like the veteran response, but I know they got to be giving him grief for not being able to score. But all around, the team got pressure. There were moments, like plays happened, but in general, they contained it and they played so well. I don't know if this is going to be a thing, but they got Michael Penix knocked out of the game, putting in Kirk Cousins. Now, putting in Kirk Cousins may be a play and a ploy to try to get some team to want to come scoop him up. I know there's some injuries floating around in the NFL, so maybe they're just like, we'll give you a little bit of tape. I don't think that tape's going to help based off of what we saw out of him, but you never know. But the Carolina Panthers executed, man. You talk about Ryan Fitzgerald, and I know he got like MVP, game ball, whatever. Ridiculous day. I mean, the field goals, the 57-yarder, the extra points, and the kickoffs. Putting a little mustard on it, a spin, whatever he was doing to be able to get this thing flowing and make it difficult for them to return, giving us really good field position on the defensive side of the ball, man. Those things added up because when you go back and look at the breakdown for the field position, Carolina Panthers almost had a 20-yard differential compared to the Atlanta Falcons. So the Carolina Panthers' average starting field position was their own 41-yard line. The Atlanta Falcons was their own 22-yard line. So 19-yard difference. That's 2 first downs. That is a very big. That's the entire red zone. And speaking of which, and I know this was talked about, but for the Carolina Panthers to not even allow the Atlanta Falcons to get into the red zone, much less the 30-yard line, you talk about a performance, man. They put it together. And it was a day where, like we said, the offense, people may think it's not great when you talk about Bryce Young, but he managed the game the way that you were supposed to. I was a little frustrated at times with Dave Canales continuing to run the same play inside. I don't know what it is about him and his play. I mean, that's just his game, but man, it feels like every run is inside. And then there for a little bit, when the backs would make the cuts, whether it was Hubbard or Dowdle, now one of the times they got tripped up by an offensive lineman, but whenever they would make that cut back inside, it felt like they were falling down. Drive summary chart for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, some days you just have stuff working in your favor, and that was one of those days. But regardless of working in their favor, Panthers did what they had to do. So you have the missed field goal by the Falcons, followed by a punt, and that was a 3-and-out. Then another missed field goal. And remember, that missed field goal, they gained possession off of the muffed punt. So they're starting on the Carolina 33-yard line. They have a 4-play, -3-yard drive, and they miss a field goal. which is, I mean, they're definitely going back and wanting their other kicker at this point. Parker Romo, Tony Romo got that same type of clutch gene, lack of clutch gene in their veins. Then followed by a punt, and then it was the end of the half. And you look at that sequence too at the end of the half with the Falcons. I mean, it was in a way smart. Like Panthers give up a pretty big play, but it didn't matter because they caught the ball in bounds and there was no way they had time to get the field goal unit. The fact that the Panthers did not have to play from behind, that they got the lead, they maintained it, and they did what they were supposed to do. I mean, it just changes the dynamic of your play calling because you got to see Canales dial up a few more runs. It wasn't a huge day on the ground, but they did enough. Then you got to see the defense kind of take advantage of some situations, getting into third and longs, being able to get pressure. It's something that we have been longing for as we looked at this team, man. Second half for the Falcons, interception, turnover on downs, interception, turnover on downs, and then the fumble to close it out. And I'm glad they fumbled because, like, come on, dude. You're really calling a timeout down by 30 in the fourth quarter with 25, 26 seconds left, whatever. Like, come on, man. We got to be a little bit better than that. Like, there's no look, there's no rep, there's nothing you're really getting out of this besides trying to see if you can put up 3 points so you don't get shut out, but you got shut out. So I'm glad you fumbled. I am. On the side of the Carolina Panthers, 2 drives per quarter through the first 3 quarters and then 3, but the last one, it was really 2 drives per quarter because the last one they got through a fumble. Touchdown, punt, field goal, punt. That was in the first and second quarter. Then they come out and they punt, field goal, another touchdown, a field goal, and that was the end of the game. Longest drive, so that opening, the first drive they got the ball, 9 plays, 61 yards, got 4 first downs along the way. It was probably one of their best. The third drive of the game, 10 plays, 53 yards, ended up turning out and getting the field goal. They only had 1 3-and-out on the day. Pretty big off of the punt, which was on their 4th drive. So nice day. We're going to get into the box scores. Hats off to the defense, man. Again, I'll keep saying it. Just an all-around performance by this team. All right, let's get into it, man. No, man. You're right. It is about time. It is about time that the Carolina Panthers finally pulled out a victory. This is rare. Rare for me, at least. Let's jump into a few highlights here. Not actual highlights. YouTube will not shut me down, but take away some of my access. But we'll pull this up. All right, and let me adjust the screen over here for you guys. Oh, that's fine. This will work. That'll play as we've been saying all day. So a few NFL Pro stats that I wanted to pull out, powered by Next Gen. So Darnell Mooney, there was a lot of talk about the Atlanta Falcons, what their offense was going to produce. Not a good day. Not a good day at all. So Darnell Mooney, despite being targeted 10 times when he was aligned out wide, caught just 3 passes from the wide alignment, including in the end of half heave for 21 yards as time expired. His 28 yards from the wide alignment is the lowest for any receiver receiving 10 or more targets since DK Metcalf back in week 8 of 2023. In essence, the Carolina Panthers secondary shut it down. They did a great job. And J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn almost had that pick. That was a tough play, though. That was kind of a bullet pass from Penix that came off when he almost got the interception there. Can't even remember what play, but I know folks remember that one. Not bad, though. The secondary, though, the tackling, too. That's the biggest thing. You didn't have a lot of explosive plays. We'll look at the the chart here in a second, but they didn't give up explosive plays. When you don't give up explosive plays, especially to a Bijan Robinson, that's going to help you be successful. I know they made some plays, but they did what they had to do when they needed it. So Bryce Young negated the Falcons' blitz-heavy scheme, 63% blitz rate. We saw them showing a lot of pressure and getting to it by getting rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds against extra pass rushers. Actually got it out in about 2.46. Young finished 9 of 14 for 72 yards against the blitz. He was pressured only 7 times, 25.9% pressure rate, and was sacked once against a defense that generated 6 sacks last week against the Vikings. That's what I was concerned about. JPJ, Jalen Walker, this entire defense, they're going to be so good. They're going to come in and wreak havoc on this team. Not to mention you have an offensive line that's struggling, or you would say was going to be struggling with the replacements on there, and they didn't. Really good performance. Let's talk about Michael Penix Jr. I saw a stat by CBS Sports that Michael Penix Jr. has not won a game as the starter in the NFL when the opposing team scores 7 or more points. So that's pretty much he's been handed a lot of wins throughout his time. So maybe his stock is coming a little bit down, but I'm not going to write it off just yet. So Michael Penix struggled in his third start of the season, completing only half of his passes, 18 of 36, and for 172 yards and 2 interceptions. Cousins subsequently, Kirk Cousins, that is, came in relief in the fourth quarter. Penix struggled throwing downfield, completing only 4 of 17 passes for 66 yards and an interception. His other interception was, of course, returned for a touchdown by Shaw Smith-Wade in the third quarter, pushed the deficit to 3 scores. It was a bad day. Bad day to be a Falcons fan. Also go back and look at some of these projections, which actually weren't that far off when we went through our preview. I'm going to switch over because I'm not a big fan of the way they break down the box score on there, but we'll switch over to here and take a look at the box score for the Carolina Panthers. Getting into the numbers, as we mentioned, when you talk about the Panthers' performance today, efficient. That's all it was. Like, it's not going to come out here and light you up, especially if you look at the box score for some of this, but doing what they had to do to get the job done. Bryce was 16 of 24, 121 yards, 66.7 completion percentage. That's the best number that he's had this season. 5 yards per pass, sacked 1 time with a 78.6 passer rating. We know, love for him, and Canales talked about it, being able to connect on some of those deep balls. You can win games like this, but eventually you are going to need to come down with some of those plays. So, but we'll take it. Chuba Hubbard, 17 carries, 73 yards, 4.29 per carry. 8 was his longest. Again, just pounded away. Panthers, this may be first time in a while that they ran the ball more than they passed. And the only way that you can run the ball more than you pass the ball is when you have a lead. When you're up in a game, you can pound the rock away. And you're content with pounding the rock away because you have a sufficient lead, 2 or 3 scores. Not to mention, that you're turning and burning the clock, and you're just wearing the other team down. And your defense is playing so well that you're like, okay, well, if we only get 3 plays, take 2 minutes off the clock, it's okay. We'll end up turning around and punting, and our defense is going to hold their own. It's a really good day for, especially considering some of the changes, like we mentioned. But 17 to 73, again, not lighting it up. Rico Dowdle, 10 for 30. He did have the 1 touchdown. Chuba Hubbard was like half a yard short from scoring. Rico Dowdle ended up putting it in. Bryce Young, 2 for 8, did have the 1 scramble for a touchdown. And then nothing on the side of ETN. Andy Dalton with I didn't even realize Andy Dalton went in for the kneel at the end of the game. So good for him. I didn't even know that. I'd cut it off. We were already celebrating, or I wasn't paying attention. Not a big day for T-Mac, Tedero McMillan, but again, I mean, you only pass the ball for 120 yards. There's only so much that's going to go around. Did have a few opportunities for some plays that, again, talking about the deep ball, but I think also earlier in the game, there was a ball that went to him that you'd like to see him haul in. It was close to the first down, but 3 for 48 off of 8 targets. Tommy Trimble, 2 for 16 off of 2. Bryson Tremaine, 2 for 15. JT Sanders, 2 for 11. And hopefully his ankle, we'll get an update on the injury report. Hopefully nothing significant. I have not been out here tonight to be able to follow along if there has been any significant update from there. Not sure. But Mitchell Evans, 1 for 9. Dowdle, 1 for 8. Hunter Renfrow, 2 for 6. David Moore, 1 for 5. And then Chuba Hubbard, 2 for 3. The fumble on the side of the Carolina Panthers, Trevor Etienne. Lathan Ransom was the one who forced the fumble at the end. Damani Richardson recovered it. And also 3 turnovers. That'll help for the Carolina Panthers kind of balance out some of that turnover differential. But Mike Jackson, 1 interception, 54 yards. Shaw Smith-Wade, 1 for 11, and the touchdown. And then on the defense, we will also, I mean, in general, outside of Evero adapting a little bit today, as far as his play calling and his scheme and some of the positions that he put these players in, also dialing up the blitz a little bit more. Definitely noticed it, and I think he got smarter with the way he's using the talent that he has. I think he's kind of buying into, okay, I know, I'm sure in his mind on paper he's got what he wants this to look like, but I don't think he has the full talent, especially when you talk about Pat Jones and Turk being out. So using what you have. But Christian Roseboom led the way, 9 tackles, and there are probably some moments that we'll go back and look, but overall, better performance by the linebacking core. Trevin Wallace even making a play tackle for a loss at one point. So it's like, you know what? Baby steps when it comes to this. Trayvon Merrick, though, 6 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Mike Jackson with 5, Shaw Smith-Wade with 5, and Mike Jackson with a few of those shoestring tackles where Robinson could have broke that thing open. I mean, that's the difference in week 1 and week 3, because in week 1, those tackles aren't being made, and even sometimes last week, tackles aren't being made. Guys are getting out, they're elusive, turn it into 30, 40-yard gains, 50, whatever it is, 60, 70 from the first week. You eliminate those, and you eliminate those against one of the best backs in the NFL in Bijan Robinson. We can't ask for a lot more than that. Kicking, Ryan Fitzgerald, 3 for 3, 3 extra points, and the 57-yarder. He was money. He had 7 kickoffs with 11.6 yard average per return. Again, that field position battle was big. Martin also had a few punts in there. Really solid day. I'm going to switch to the team stat view in just a second over here. Take a look at the full breakdown between the two. First downs in favor of the Falcons, 17-15 first downs. Go back here. 6 rushing for the Falcons, 7 for the Panthers, 7 passing for the Panthers, 1 by penalty. Third down efficiency wasn't great. I did feel like Dave Canales wasn't as aggressive as he could be in some instances. Like he kind of let up on the gas, and I didn't want to see him kind of press it. I mean, I understand you don't want to take a bunch of shots downfield when you're maintaining and in control, because the last thing you need is to flip this thing over, throw a pick six, have a fumble, whatever it is, and give away points. So ball security is important, but I would have liked them to be a little more aggressive. Only 27% on third down for the Carolina Panthers. Fourth down, though, 2 for 2. Total yards favored the Falcons by over 100, almost 110 more, 332 to 224. Falcons outgaining the Panthers. They did run 11 more offensive plays, 66 to 55. Panthers averaged 4.1 yards per play to the Falcons' 5 yards per play. I'll take this as a win because at the end of the game, they started to run the ball a little bit more when, Kirk Cousins got in there. I'm not saying that's the reason, but they had a little more efficiency. I mean, just trying to turn away. But 131 yards on the ground, surrendered to this team and where we've been, I'll take it, man. You're not giving up 200 yards. You're not the worst rushing defense in the NFL or defense. It's a win. Win all day long. 23 to 30 rushing attempts. They did gain 5.7 yards per carry, but when you have someone like Bijan Robinson that can just get out there, I even likened it to now understanding what Falcons fans had to feel when we had Christian McCaffrey on the team, because that guy's good, man. He really is. Tackles for a loss, number 3. We talked about passing, so we already broke all of that down. Broke down the kickoff or the kicking stats overall. Penalties, that was a problem. I know Damian Lewis got called for a few, but 6 for 55 for the Panthers, 3 for 23 for the Atlanta Falcons. We talked all about all the turnovers. Red zone efficiency is no red zone efficiency if you don't make it into the red zone. So there you have it. Time of possession favored the Panthers about 31 minutes, almost 32 minutes to 28. I broke down the ball possession and drive chart earlier, but just so you can see it again for the Atlanta Falcons if you're just tuning in. Missed field goal, punt, missed field goal, punt, into the half. Interception, turnover on downs, interception, downs, and the fumble. Again, their average starting field position was their 22. Carolina Panthers with very favorable field position. I mean, you're almost at midfield. That's going to help. I mean, hands down. So their average was their 41. Touchdown, punt, field goal, punt, field goal, touchdown, field goal, end of the game. We'll scroll down. We already looked at this. This is the Falcons, though. Xavier Watts, pretty good day from him with 8. Jesse Bates with 3. Bowman with 3. But overall, his team did what they had to, man. It was nice being able to watch a team put a team away and dominate them the way that they did, because we just don't see that happening very often in the Carolinas right now. Here we go. So 10 longest plays. This is something that I highlighted as well. Falcons had at least 10 plays over. They only show you the top 10 plays for each offense. So the Atlanta Falcons with a play of 25, 21, 18, 217, 16, 12, 211, and 10. So 10 plays over 10 yards. Not necessarily an explosive play, but Carolina Panthers being able to do enough. Longest plays for the Panthers. Pass to T-Mac for 23 yards. Another pass to T-Mac for 21 yards. And then the pass to Tommy Tremble for 12. That was it. Panthers only had 3 offensive plays over 10 yards. The rest was just slow and steady, 9, 8, 8. Again, maintaining the clock, maintaining possession. Doing what you got to do. We will have our breakdown of the snap counts that we'll post tomorrow like we always do. The biggest thing is Carolina Panthers did not trail. Time of possession leading. Unreal. Because this team has needed it, considering the state that they are in. Let's stop sharing that and get back over onto this. Underground and West. Actually, let's pull this back. What's good? Appreciate y'all tuning in as always. This is true. On the Clock said they don't even have a first-round pick, speaking of the Falcons, to go and try for another quarterback in the next draft. They don't. They do not. And that's okay with me. Absolutely okay with me. Panther Dog said belt to behind. That absolutely was a showcase on the defense side of the ball. And the whole team, man, all around great performance. On the clock, do you think that if the defense plays like this the rest of the year, they try to retain Evero? This is a great question because immediately my mind today was thinking about, okay, what if we do go through the motion of Evero being good, better, showing like he has stability? It's going to be a funny situation in my mind if you're a Panthers fan and for all Panthers fans if we go through this process and Evero turns out to be pretty good because you're going to be in a, kind of stuck here wondering like, okay, is he going to actually get some head coaching offers? And then you're going to be upset that he's moving on, or do they actually try to retain him? I mean, for the sake of consistency, if he does not get a head coaching offer and we can prove, and he can prove that this isn't like a 1 week thing, that he can put this together, throughout the course of the season. And then, next year build on that, I'd be in favor of it. I don't know what kind of contract you'd be able to give him because I think we'd all assume, and I don't think he's going to sign like a 1 year contract to be a defensive coordinator. I think he'd probably want another maybe 2 or 3 year contract with the stipulation we know that eventually if he does well, he's going to end up moving on. But it's funny you bring that up because that was one of the things as I was like thinking about the game and where they finished and how dominant and good they looked. I was like, well, defense is playing well, so does that mean Evero's going to be here for the long haul? Something that we're definitely going to have to be thinking about as we move through this. But anyways, folks, I don't know that there's really anything else for me to break down tonight, man, because pretty straightforward. When your team wins and we see what we saw today, it's you don't have to sit back and complain about everything. So it takes a little pressure off of us as we go through this. And there's nothing for me to really complain about at this point. But we will go back, we'll watch, get all the highlights, and get prepared as we always do for next week in the New England Patriots. The Carolina Panthers sitting at 1-2. Pretty good position to be in, at least if you're a fan, I would hope so. Panthers have a chance, man. You go up to New England. If you can take care of business, win one on the road, come back at 500, chance to then take on the Miami Dolphins. There's a stretch, man. We talked about this first 7 games being an opportunity for the Panthers to be in that range of 3-4, 4-3. Anything close to 4-3 would be great. 3-4 even, but taking the next step forward. So we'll have it. Anyways, folks, that is going to do it for tonight. Appreciate y'all tuning in as always. This is CD Carolina Dad. Y'all